Hey guys, it's Gilbert. I'm going to be working off screen, but I wanted to show you, I have the buckets of the rest of whatever we have. This right here is part A. And what I do is I'll just use some old chopsticks or whatever that I have left over from any number of order out days, but you want to make sure you mix it really, really well. Okay. So, mix. I just use 2 of these guys, right? The thing is, if it's fairly, I want you to mix your tubs as you know, as well as you can. Try not to make a mess. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to go ahead and use some of these like a medicine kind of cups that I have. They're actually just graduated cups for measuring catalyst for resin or paint, like automotive type paint. So I'm just trying to get a general amount in here. You know what, guys? What I do is I just eyeball it. If I'm not close on the materials and I feel like I'm pretty, I'm pretty well set for the amount of stuff that I've purchased. It is expensive, so what I want to do, so I'm going to go ahead and set this aside. I have a box that I've kind of set up for this purpose. All right, now check it out. I'm going to completely clean everything that I just used. So I want to go ahead and scrape this off into your bucket. Do not use your fingers. What I would suggest is that you could use some latex gloves. If you get silicone on your fingers, the best thing to do is to use a paper towel, just a dry paper towel, and get most of it off. And then if you have, if you have a nail polish remover, it's called acetone, or you could use the non-toxic kind. So I've disposed of everything. I'm going to clean this. I'm actually going to probably get rid of it altogether, and then I'm going to go into my part B. And let me get the reason I'm being careful not to get any of part A on part B, because it's a catalyst. So the rubber doesn't dry, it sets up, right? So it's a catalyzed process. So it's a chemical reaction. And for all intents and purposes, the catalyst, once it's there, is hard to not have there. So in other words, it may kick off a pot of rubber if you're not careful. Okay, so there's this. I'm going to set this aside over here. Grab the paper towel. And I can grab some new set of chopsticks here. I also have, you can also use popsicle sticks or paint sticks, or just any kind of stick that you have laying around the house, or, you know, not that people have sticks hanging around their house, but, yeah, you can tell these days. All right, mix. I can see that there is a kind of a separation a little bit with the blue. It looked like there was some fluid on top. So I am trying to mix this a bit better than the other. I can see that it does require a bit of mixing. So I have my other cup here. Water is the enemy of silicone. So keep water away from this stuff. This is really liquidy. So maybe what you guys can do is, this is probably the catalyst. What I think I'm going to do is, in a risky move, attempt to pour the catalyst into a bucket. But yeah, I should probably put some stuff down. Okay. I'm going to call that more or less good. Got my clean towel here. I'm going to wipe it. And I'm going to put the lid on. Okay. And I'm going to use the same thing to wipe my other screwdriver. All right. So what I did, you guys, is I just put that little cup in there to keep it from spilling. It looks like it could probably use a bit more mixing. You guys have smaller cups, which is probably going to be beneficial. But one of the things I wanted to show you guys was, this is the part A and this is the part B. It's a 1-to-1 mix, which means you have enough in both of your cups to mix pretty much about the quart. So that's a lot of rubber. And what I was going to suggest is that you start out with something small. In this case, this is just some wood that I have. You know, I could also use cardboard or any kind of, you know, something stiff that you might ordinarily throw away. It could even be like a strawberry container or some plastic like that. I don't know why I just like to use wood. It's here, it's easy to cut. And what I did is I have my glue gun on and ready. And what I'm going to do is this is going to be what's called a 1-part mold. And the 1-part mold is just a mold that only goes over one side. I'm using a glue gun here. Go ahead and turn it off. Just kind of let the glue set up a little bit. And then I'm going to go ahead and just set this is like a piece of costume jewelry. Out of the way. So what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to just get it to mount so that it's a little bit floating. You can see it's kind of how it kind of can float in the middle. And that way I'll get what's called an undercut. Now, it may be a little bit difficult for me to get it out depending on how I navigate the undercut. And ordinarily what I'll do is I would put some putty or something in there in between to block that space. So that way I won't have to mess with cutting away a bunch of stuff. But what's going to happen is I'm just going to go ahead and do what's called like a glove mold. And because this is so, this stuff right here has so much, it's very fluid. Oftentimes the rubber is not as fluid. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and just pour both of these in here at the same time. This is just for TV, guys. You could do it one at a time. It doesn't matter. Okay. Now I don't really care. I can just kind of, I'm not saying do this. All right. Okay, so at this point, I'll get my other chopsticks. And you can see the mixture in there, right? And I'm just going to go ahead and stir that up. I think you have something like 45 minutes of working time. Please make sure that it's completely mixed. And the other thing I do is I'll look through. That's why I give you these clear buckets, because you can see the difference between the catalyst and the rubber. And so scrape down on the sidewalls of your container. Get all that stuff mixed and look underneath it. See, look there. I got some underneath there. I'm going to try to get that out. So check it out. I just took this little chunk of cardboard off of the box that I had found in the garbage, and I'm just going to go ahead and trim it. And then I don't really care about this. All I'm doing is I'm going to do what's called a one-part mold. So I'm going to take my costume jewelry here, and I'm going to use my hot glue gun. You'll see I'll cut. What I'll do is I'm gonna go ahead and get some hot glue in there because I don't really want to have to dig it out. So I'm going to use the hot glue as kind of like a caulk. Okay. See? All right. Then what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this once that's set. It'll keep most of the rubber out, I think. It'll keep most of it out. Okay. You want to get rid of all the boogers and the hairs. And then I just have this little guy. I'm just going to go ahead and kind of hot glue it together. See? What I'm doing is I want to make a I want to make a moisture-proof barrier. Because what I'm going to do is I'm going to pour my rubber in here. So I'm going to go ahead and clean this up so I don't have to fight with it afterwards. Which means that if the rubber gets in that little crevice and hardens, it'll end up holding this and it kind of might wreck my mold, so I don't really want that to happen. So I'm just doing this Rasquache style, super, super low-key stuff you can find around the house. Gift boxes from Christmas, right? All right. So what I'm doing here is I'm using it like a caulk gun, right? So a caulk gun is a gun that squirts out tubes of caulk, but it's a silicone, usually a silicone-based sealant. People put it around sinks. So I'm kind of using this as that type of a substance. In the meantime, I've got my rubber over here kind of setting up, getting a little bit thick. It's always good to have another little something on hand, a little knife or sometimes I'll have like a sculpture tool just to help hold things in place and also clean up seams and stuff like that. Now I could have just put some tape around this just as easily, but I just wanted to show you how the glue gun is actually kind of a cool tool to use. And it creates this waterproof bonds. And depending on how much glue, you'll get a pretty tough bond. Okay. So what I want to look at in my connection here is I want to make sure that I don't have any holes, any gaps that are showing. It's not too bad. Because what I want to do next is I'm going to grab my rubber here that I just mixed. And now it's starting to set up, which is cool because I kind of didn't want it to go underneath the object itself. Help it along here. Uh-oh. Now this is a pretty generous amount of rubber. I'm usually more stingy about how much rubber I use, but I did want to just show you guys a quick and easy way to do a one-part mold. And then what I'll do is I'll show you guys how to do a two-part mold tomorrow. And then this guy, usually what I do is I'll let that sit overnight, and I'll show you a trick, you guys. If you have a bucket like this and you want to get all this rubber out, you can just kind of make a skin out of it like that, and then you can leave your chopstick stuck on there. Then tomorrow when you come, you can just go, boop. Okay. So here I've got this, and I'm just going to give it a little shaky shake, get some of those bubbles out. You don't have to be that kind of crazy, but it's nice to just get the bubbles out. They also say like a hair dryer will do it. And to do this sound effect, I guess. So because of the intricacy of the object, as a piece of costume jewelry, it has all the setting, the detail in the settings, and then the fake, gems or whatever's on there. So I just want to make sure that the rubber has a chance to find all the little crevices and stuff, so that when I cast it tomorrow, I'll have a really nice clean and detailed cast. So we're going to wait overnight, and then we'll check on this tomorrow morning and we'll take it apart.